My name is Perpetual.
And my name is Rudolph.
And together we're Love, Faith, and Passion. Well, today we're doing part 3 of the 3-part series, Putting in the Work.
True.
And today we are talking about dealing with difficult seasons. Well, I am so I am so excited personally because I believe that there's so much treasure in the hard places. And most of what we have become was built during a certain season, and it wasn't exactly easy. So I am so excited to just pour out my heart and help out somebody out there.
Yep, so let's get right into it. See you soon.
See you soon.
So, dealing with difficult seasons, maybe we can just begin by defining what a difficult season is. So a difficult season is a season that puts strain on you, either physically, emotionally, or spiritually. So the difficult season can also be as a result of strain that is on one side of the union, but obviously because we are one, when one side of the union is seeing fire, it results in the couple
seeing fire. That's always funny. I agree.
I think, as my wife said, the difficult season, what I've learned is that in your challenges are also your greatest opportunities, and your opportunities also, therein lies your greatest challenges. So most of the times we talk about this when we are talking about the challenges in themselves, but not realizing that sometimes even your triumph. So for example, let's say for example a husband all of a sudden receiving a big paycheck, it's a blessing in itself, but if it's not managed correctly, that season in itself can turn out to be a difficult season. Something that was meant to be a blessing can result in strain on you as a couple, because so all of a sudden you're getting the big bucks, you are behaving, you've changed the way that you treat your wife. So I think it's important for us to realize that, you know, a difficult season is anything that results in strain in your relationship in regards to these different areas.
Okay, so like for me, when I think about difficult seasons, like I'm just gonna share from my experience, because I believe that in hindsight I look back and I'm like, whoa, so we went through that, you know. But like there was so much work to be put in, because I believe that when one area of the union is affected, like you said, both people are affected. And sometimes we don't realize that the reason I'm being moody, the reason I'm being distant is because I'm actually struggling to process all this. I'm struggling to process what is happening now. And I believe that for me, one of the places that really grew me, if I may call it that, was our first year of marriage, 2017.
It was a stretch.
It was a stretch.
It was not 365 days, but more like 665 days.
Can you be serious? So like I remember just crying out to God. But I'll be quick to say that I came into marriage very naive. I didn't want to work. I just wanted to be a stay-home, you know, somebody. My husband goes out there and is doing all these things.
He comes home early.
Comes home early, and he had school and he had to work. And so I remember just one time things were just so rough at home, like rough, no food and stuff. And I remember just feeling like, okay, so what's going on here? Like, you know how you go to God, hey Lord, you don't love me. Why aren't things working out for us? But I wasn't doing anything. And I remember the Lord just ministering to me to say, you know what, nobody owes you anything. You must get up and do something. And I think that is so biblical, because God blesses the works of our hands. You just don't sit and then, you know, ta-da, manna falls from heaven. So I remember that's the work I had to put in, is get out of this zone where I feel like people owed me. You know, like parents, they should be able to help, you know. I had to get out of that zone. And I remember just pushing myself And that's how the flower business was born, the paper flowers. I literally taught myself how to make paper flowers, and then I taught my husband, and he would come from school or work, and he would find me cutting and making paper flowers, and he would join right in, to a point where you became better than me at making paper flowers. So sometimes the difficult seasons require that you get up and do something, and not just expect that because I'm a child of God things will be okay. Because I'm a child of God, I pray in tongues, favors should come my way. And I got up and got a job.
Yeah, and I think it speaks so much to difficult seasons that come as a result of almost anything, really, in the sense that they cause you to take a step back. Because like you said, most of the times we go through difficult seasons and we fail to pinpoint where the pain, where the challenge, where the strain is really coming from. And I think that in this instance, for example, where we were going through difficult, a difficult financial season, it was only when we stopped and really said, okay, so where is the problem? Is it that God does not bless his children? Is it that people are not good? Or is it that we need to see where the work is and identify where the work is in this particular area, and then apply ourselves to that? And so the moment we began to apply ourselves to the work that was required of us in that particular season, we began to see a turnaround in the status quo of the season. I remember that was also the season where I was going to school, but because I had a bus, what we used to do to supplement our income, I used to carry people, my fellow classmates, and charge them, because there was no transport. Apparently the school had stopped providing transport. So one of the ways that we supplemented our income was me providing transport to some of my classmates and ferrying them to and from school. So it was so painful, because there were times where you'd want to come home early because for whatever reasons you want to come home a bit earlier, but then there's that one person on the bus who says, no, I want to stay, I want to knock off at 17 hours, and everyone has to stay, and you are also affected, and maybe there are things you want to do for your family that you'd be thinking, okay, so if I leave now, do I then come back at 16 hours? Then it was such a strain. But I believe that in us being able to identify that, okay, look, we actually have a bus. Why not use this as well to be able to supplement our income? And it was putting in the work, but it enabled us to also open up our eyes that, oh, okay, so if this can be, it can give us some sort of income, what are the other things that we're able to do?
And you know what, to be fair, that season called for humility. Because there were so many times that the people on the bus were so mean to my husband. And girl, you have to know that you can come at me, you can do whatever, but the minute you go to him, So like there were so many times like people were just mean to him. Like, where for me, he's my king, like this is my priest, y'all. And then someone is like, ew, Rudolph. And I'm like,
because we had to first of all drop my wife off.
So drop me at work.
We would drop you off at work, and then we would proceed. And sometimes when coming back, we'd then pick you up again.
To be honest, like it was such a strain for me, because like I remember just one time I just turned back and looked at this girl. Like I did not say anything. I just looked at her and I'm like, why? Why would you do that? Like, it's okay if you do it if you're just amongst yourselves, but just in front of me, that's just so wrong. But for me, I remember that birthed a level of patience in me, because like I couldn't exactly like speak up and whatever. And just seeing how so graceful you were, for me, it introduced me to a different kind of Rudolph, a Rudolph like I didn't know before. Like humility, I don't even know how I can describe it. And in that season, I started praying to God. I said, Lord, if you can just move on our behalf, I promise you, we will always give. I promise you, we will continue to serve. But I cannot do this, because sometimes the bus would die. And then those guys,
vehicle, automobile.
And I remember one time again, one of the guys was teasing you in Bemba, and I think he thought I was Zimbabwean, but I understood everything that he was saying.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh
calling
wow.
You the driver and stuff like that. Yeah, but I think.
So, yeah.
I think the example that we're giving is just highlighting the fact that difficult seasons require you to put in extra work. And I think that extra work is as a result of you deliberately identifying the source of the problem. When you identify where the problem is actually coming from, you can then apply yourself. I think the moment we begin to allow ourselves to be carried away by the season instead of us commanding the season, and then it turns out to be, not only a difficult season, but all of a sudden you're saying, I don't think my marriage is working, I don't think my relationship is really working out. But really, have you taken time to say, okay, when did things go wrong? What went wrong? And at this very moment, what are the things that we can do to be able to address bit by bit the things that are causing, the strain?
Yeah. And for me, in all those seasons, like one of the things that I appreciate is that we never lost our friendship. Even when the bath would give us problems, we still remain friends. And that was work in itself, because sometimes you want to go to work, you're late, and then this guy told you the car is fine, and you go out there, the thing won't start. And I'm looking at him thinking, but you said it's fine. And I'm grateful to God because it was His grace at work for us. But I remember just how I had to be intentional about continuing to be respectful, continuing to help where I had to, and interestingly, the Lord, as the Lord would have it, I believe that difficult season also was where we built understanding to say that we can't do this one by one. Remember how the bus had to start when I'm one side and two people. And one time we were not talking, right? We argued before getting out of the house. And then, because I'm me, I was like, I'm not even helping today. And the bus did not stop at all, you guys. But it didn't start. It didn't start at all. I then ended up using a bus and whatever. But I remember when I was on the bus now on my way to work, and the Lord said, you cannot do this by yourself. You cannot do marriage alone. And He started to show me how even in that season He was teaching us to build friendship, to build a system where we work together. And I believe it's trickled down to many other aspects, like how you would never let me go do decor alone. Even when you're so tired, you just be there. So what do I need to do? Can I light the candles? What do you need me to go and buy? And we learned that in that difficult season.
And I think also difficult seasons require you to be deliberate about how you, especially for example, if it's your husband who is struggling, or if it's your wife who is struggling, you need to be deliberate about how you handle that, so that you do not add to whatever strain that individual is going through. So for example, I think one thing that is important is to also see when your friend is trying in a difficult season. It's one thing for you to see that it's my friend is going through something really difficult, and it's another thing to be there for them and to encourage them in that. So maybe in difficult seasons, those are the times where when your husband brings back some drink that you would not normally buy, you appreciate that drink. Oh my God, I'm so grateful for this drink. Maybe now, years down the line, you look back and say, but this is such a simple drink, but in that season it carries so much weight. And also it means that your actions in that season also carry so much weight as an individual, because you can imagine you running uphill. When someone is running uphill, the moment there is a slight wind that blows against them, they will feel so tired. But if they were just running on a flat plane, the wind would blow and they'll be just like, it'll be just a breeze, or the breeze actually feels good. So it means that in our difficult seasons, our actions actually carry so much more weight. And I think it's important for us to then be able to identify if your partner is going through a difficult season, how can you be a support system so that you don't turn their challenge into our challenge, which I think most of the times happens because we don't correctly position ourselves to be able to be a support system to our partner, and instead you add to the grievance, like, yeah, hey, you say one, this, that. You know, there's so many things that you could do, there's so many things that you could say to either be a support system or you add to the strain that is already there.
Wow, that's so powerful. Interestingly, we've just spoken about like the financial aspect. Like, I know that the other difficult season that I can like remember off the top of my head is the loss of a loved one. Like I know we spoke about it in one of the videos, like dealing with the loss of a parent. And I remember one of the losses that we suffered is a miscarriage. And I think that the thing that we had to do, like to put in the work to make our relationship work, was to acknowledge that we were hurting differently. And I realized that our society really does not pay attention so much to the man when there's been something like that, you know, like even when there's been a loss of a loved one who's grown up. Usually the comfort is so much on the lady's side. They're struggling. Men shouldn't really cry, you know. And I remember like just feeling like, okay, so how do I do this? How do I handle this? And I remember you only opened up months later how you had also struggled with it, you know. Like for me now, putting in the work was acknowledging that he's also hurting. He was also expecting, even when it wasn't obviously like the way I would have been, but he was expected. So like for me, it was just becoming about not disregarding your pain, even when it was months after, when I was much better, and just being able to listen, to know, you know, what are your thoughts now about having a baby? Do you want to have a baby? No, but this is how I feel. And I remember for me, I was just like, I want a baby and I want a baby now. And you were like, but you know, I don't feel like that right now. And for me, it was now acknowledging that you are also going through your own process, and I had to be patient. And it was an interesting season because for me, I thought, you know what, me, I'm not that sentimental. So
yeah. And you know, I think as you were speaking, I was just being reminded of the fact that, you know, even when the other person is going through whatever challenge that they may be going through, it's important for you to acknowledge, like you said, where their pain, acknowledge their pain, acknowledge their struggle, and also really take time to ask how you can support.
You're always asking that.
I think there are words that I think are so important in difficult seasons. Questions like, what can I do to help you right now? What can I do to help you right now? How can I help? Because oftentimes we think we're actually helping, but I think it's important to help in a way that means something to your partner. So asking them, is there anything that I could do to make you feel better? You know, is there anything that I could do to help? Such questions, in as much as they might not give you a list of things that you need to do, but I think they unlock something to the one who's hearing them. They unlock the fact that, so this person is present, this person is willing to help, this person is trying to help. And in as much as maybe it's something that you might be going through by yourself, you know, but you know, or not really necessarily going through by yourself, but what I mean is that maybe it might be a challenge that is more personal to you, you know, but it then feels as if you are still moving through it together because of showing that kind of support.
And you're always doing that. I actually learned that from you, to ask, okay, what can I do? Like, is there anything I can do to make this better? And you know, no, that makes a lot of sense. That makes lots of sense. So and you know what, I believe that even as the scripture says in Romans 5:4-6, and endurance, this I'm reading from the Amplified, fortitude develops maturity of character, approved faith and tried integrity. And character of this sort produces the habit of joyful and confident hope of eternal salvation. Such hope never disappoints or deludes or shames us, for God's love has been poured out in our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. While we were yet in weakness, powerless to help ourselves at the fitting time Christ died for us, the ungodly. Now it is an extraordinary thing for one to give his life even for an upright man. Though perhaps for a noble and lovable and generous benefactor, someone might dare to die. Anyway, so this scripture for me, like, it helps me look at difficult seasons not so much as punishment, but as opportunities to grow in character. Like for me, there's so much that I learned during that time when we didn't have much. And not to say that we've arrived, because we have a long way to go, but it helped me to learn to push, like, you know, like beyond just sitting and waiting. There's a certain tenacity on the inside of me that was built, that like I'm not taking no for an answer anymore, you know, and I'm gonna go out there and do something. You know, I'm gonna go out there, and it's been that for me has taught me to be a certain way with money. Like I'm not just trying to spend every dime I get. You know, it's built some sort of maturity. Let me not even say sort of maturity. It's built a maturity in me when it comes to finances. And I'm not sitting around thinking everybody owes me. Like there's a certain level of entitlement that died in that season. You know, because you could sit around saying, hey, people don't love me, hey, you can complain, hey, you can put up the memes and do whatever. But it's because you are not seeing that you have it in you. I believe that there are things that were birthed in that season that I would have never imagined about myself. Like I would have never imagined in a million years if that season didn't come.
Yeah, true. So I think it allows us to, the conversation that you have just initiated allows us to I think manage our perspective when we go through challenges. It's possible for you to look at a difficult season and see it as an end all break all, or you can be able to see it as an opportunity for growth as well. I know that it might sound a bit cheesy or corny, but it's the truth. That hidden within our challenges, our greatest challenges, are also our greatest opportunities for growth. But it requires us to adjust our perspective and begin to see the potential for more, even in our painful seasons, in our difficult seasons. Because most of the times you will realize that the area that people thrive in is also the area that they overcame the most in. When you're talking about, oh my God, those guys are doing so well financially, but it's because they overcame so much in that area to get to where they are now. So you might be going through whatever difficult season that you may be in. It does not necessarily have to be financial or losing someone. We go through difficult season as a result of different things that put strain on us as individuals and as couples. But I think the principle still remains that it's important for us to manage our perspective in that season. And it's also important for us to still identify what the work is for us in that difficult season. And then applying ourselves to that work in a very intentional and deliberate way.
Yeah, well, that is it from us. We hope that this series has helped you and you will be encouraged to put in the work. Good relationships don't just happen. You just don't sit and then bump into a good relationship. You have to put in the work. And work looks very different for each one of us. For us, it could have been one particular area. For you, it could be another area. But it's important for you to pick the principle that you must put in the work.
And of course, you know, the work you put in is the work that you reap from. So it's not anything that is in vain, because you are at the end of it, you know, harvesting from the work that you're going to put in. So until we see you again in the next series that will be starting, we love you so much.
God bless you. Don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe if it's your first time on our channel.
Hit that
notification button so that when a video comes up, you're the first one to see. And we'll see you soon.
All right, see you soon, guys.